Hello, welcome to Maker's Bar. I'm Akshata Shetty, your host. Today we have Nilesh Gudhe, who is the founder of Bynry. I had met Nilesh a few months ago, and I thought his journey was really interesting. And he is one of the founders who is not typically working on a traditional problem. So I thought it'll be really good to get him on our show and understand what he's working on and learn a little bit about Binary. So welcome, Nilesh. I'm really excited to interview you.
Yeah, thank you, Akshata. Really appreciate you on inviting me on this podcast to share my story. Really
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you are one of the few founders who are working on something different. I mean, I meet a lot of people working on AI, a lot of people working on, SaaS and things of that sort. But yours is a very different industry. So I am always excited when I see something different, and I want to like pick the founders' brains and like entrepreneurs' brains and understand like how their journey began and everything. So Nilesh, so diving into our questions, this is like our first question that we always ask all our guests. Tell us a little bit about your early career and how how you got to doing what you're doing right now, right? Because I would love to learn about your journey.
Okay, so it's a very interesting question. So
Yeah.
let me begin with what was the seed. It started way back. So when I was a kid, my father put this seed that I should become a fighter pilot for Indian
Okay.
Air Force, and
Okay.
I pursue that interest till I was in my 12th or higher secondary education.
Hmm.
And by that time, I got to know that I'm a partial colorblind. I have a deficiency in red and green.
Okay.
And then I vividly remember even today. Then I started thinking, now I'm not going to be a fighter pilot. What I'm going to do?
Yeah.
And when I was in 11th standard and going to my college early morning, suddenly it struck me that I'm going to be a businessman. This is
Okay.
this is at the age of like 15, 16, and
Okay.
I know exactly where it happened, and I like it stick to me. But I was knowing I don't know anything about business, what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I completed my engineering. Then I got a job in TCS, but then I was planning that I said, one day I have to start my business. So I need to
Yeah.
get into corporate world, need to understand. So I got into TCS in 2001.
Uh-huh.
Started working with, fortunately, with I landed in New York. Started working with Merrill Lynch Wealth
Mhm.
Management Division. I started working with Bank of America. Then
Mhm.
later, I became a financial consulting part of financial consulting arm, and did some stock exchange designs and work for Vanguard. So all Morgan Stanley, so all these companies. That's where like I got my initial stuff, and
Uh-huh.
then I wanted to because I was planning, right. So once I understood the technology, then I planned for my how I'm going to learn strategy, how I'm going to learn sales, and I
Mhm.
changed instead of going outside TCS. I planned those moves within TCS because it was big and every role was available. So I
Mhm.
was like training myself. In 2011, I returned to India because of family reasons. And
Mhm.
then I started thinking, right, I was like 32, 33. I said, uh, now is the right time if I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I started making smaller experiments. And by 2015, it was very clear that, I want to now move on and
Mhm.
achieve that dream I set for myself. It took me 15 years, when I thought and when I actually started my business.
Uh-huh.
But that preparation, first, 14 years preparation within TCS, that really helped me.
Okay.
And in 2015, towards the end, I left my very well paying job, and
Uh-huh.
I took a plunge and started Binary in
Okay.
2016, early 2016. So
Yeah.
that's how the early career happened.
Okay. So what does Binary do, and what are like your offerings slash product lines or whatever you might want to call it? Tell us a little bit about what industry it is in, and tell us a little bit about Binary.
Sure. So today we are a software as a service product company.
Yeah.
uh, we have developed a product for water, electric, and gas utilities.
Yeah.
We position ourselves specifically in the mid market, small
Mhm.
and mid market, because there are lots and lots of, there are almost 150,000 to 200,000 smaller utilities all over the world
Mhm.
who are looking for modern technology, but
Mhm.
because of the cost issues, because of the time to market, because of having a very small team, though
Mhm.
they want to do this, they are not able to do it.
Mhm.
And we thought we will able to create a lot of value for them from our
Okay.
initial learning. So if you ask me, in some, we are a software as a service product company, and we
Mhm.
have developed a product for smaller utilities.
Okay. And why do these utility companies, I understand, I mean, utility companies are generally considered as big, right? Why do these utility companies don't have resources? Why are they smaller in nature? Is it because of the function of the county or function of the place that they are in, or what is the reason? I'm just curious, actually.
So see, in utility industry, you will see first is, there are different services. So
Mm-hmm.
utilities are divided based on whether they are providing a water, whether they are providing electricity, whether they are providing broadband, or
Mm-hmm.
whether they are providing, gas pipe gas to a household or to
Mm-hmm.
commercial or industrial units.
Mm-hmm.
Now, particularly in North America,
Mm-hmm.
water, every state works differently. So, if
Okay.
you take an example of water, water is like a mandate for a municipality. So, if there is a small town or if there is
Mm-hmm.
a bigger city, let's say if there is a small town like city of Bandera, which is outskirts of, which is in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
or if you take a city of Phoenix, which is a very large city.
Okay.
So providing the 24 by 7 water, like 365 days, will be a mandate of water authority there. Or a
Mm-hmm.
municipality will have a water division, that's their
Mm-hmm.
thing. But if you take an example of like city of Phoenix, it might have like 200,000 consumers. It's a large city. But
Okay.
then if you take an example of city of Bandera, they will have 15, 20,000 consumers. It's a small town. It's a geographically larger area, but they
Mm-hmm.
are only managing, 15, 20,000 consumers. So it's
Okay.
like, though both of them are same, but
Mm-hmm.
then if you take an example of retail, right? The JC Penney will have a different problem because they are operating at a different scale
Mm-hmm.
versus a small retail store down the line
Mm-hmm.
in the nearby market in the mall. They will have a different problem, right? They both are doing retailing of clothes. They're doing some kind of retailing. It's a
Mm-hmm.
business is same, but because of their scale, how they're managing the things are different. Same thing happens in utility also.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a smaller utility, are though they're providing a same set of services, they are managed by a small number of people, maybe 10, 20. While the larger utility will have 100, 200, 300 people staff,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have a very large area to manage. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why, now if you are a smaller utility and
Mm-hmm.
you have got like only 20 people, and
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have like many choices how much capital you can deploy on technology,
Mm-hmm.
how many experts you can get to deploy that technology. Your limitation starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the products like SAP, Oracle are meant for a very large set of utilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I try to implement those kind of technology, that it will become like too big for me to manage.
Okay.
So because of all these reasons, what happened, they would have gone to some vendor, local vendor, who has given them a product way back in 2003, 2004, 2005. It served them well in initial years, 4, 5, 6 years, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually it went out of life. But
Yeah.
now they don't have a bandwidth, nor resources, nor capital, nor expertise to move out of that product. So they're leaving with it, right?
Okay.
So that's where we see the opportunity. That's where we thought, if we can bring a cloud-based system,
Mm-hmm.
we will able to give them this better product which
Mm-hmm.
they are looking for from long time,
Okay.
and we will able to do it like quickly for them.
Okay.
So that's, I hope I am able to answer your question.
No, no, I think you've answered it very fairly. So, tell me one thing. I understand like you are doing something which not a lot, everybody does, right? I rarely find founders working on such problems. So, I'm just curious, like, how did you make that change from like financial services, Morgan Stanley, to utility? Like, what made you solve a problem in this particular industry? And I don't, from what I see of your background, or at least hear of your background, it seems like you are an outsider to this, right? So, what has made that happen?
So it's very interesting. So as I mentioned you, I was like till 2015-16, I was dealing with very large, computer systems or computer solutions,
Yeah.
where we were dealing with large data. Like even for example, in one of the client, after the trade is over, the New York Stock Exchange stops at 3 o'clock, and
Hmm.
just ready for the next day. The kind of processes that we're running,
Hmm.
it used to take 10 hours. That kind of data was there just to reconcile it, right? So
Hmm.
I was one side, I was like seeing very large systems and how they're operated and things like that.
Hmm.
Then when I started the company, it was not like a product company that time. It was like IT services company.
Yeah.
And somebody came to me and said, we heard that you are delivering these digital solutions,
Hmm.
and we have one project which we need help. So can you help us? And
Hmm.
it was like literally I was sitting with couple of my friends and having a cup of coffee, and this guy like walks in and he said, are you like Nilesh, and we heard about you. That's how this started. So my I said, okay, I can help you, but you will have to take me to customer, and
Yeah.
I want to talk to them, understand what's going on. And
Hmm.
it was like utility customer in Mumbai. And
Hmm.
I went there and I got to know like it's that project is pending from like from last 18 months, and they wanted to build some solution, digital solution for meter reading. So
Hmm.
I said, okay, I will help. And then eventually we built that solution. To implement that, I went to Bihar. It was a large Muzaffarpur Nagar town.
Hmm.
And to my surprise, these guys were like writing meter reading on piece of paper, like, and it was not like small, like 10, 15, 20 meter. There were like 200,000 meters out there, and they every month these guys were like going in the field and just taking the meter reading on a piece of paper. And you don't know, like, whether they're going to actual places or they're sitting at home and writing it. That's why they wanted to implement this technology. So I implemented it.
Hmm.
And then I saw a huge opportunity. I said this might be happening everywhere. So but I was outsider, I was not knowing anything. So
Yeah.
fortunately I started doing my research, and I came across this gentleman called Siddharth Mehta. He was
Hmm.
an industry veteran based out of Mumbai. So I
Hmm.
contacted him on LinkedIn. I said, see, I'm doing this, I'm outsider, this is my background, and
Hmm.
I need help, would you help? So he put two conditions on day one. First 20 minutes meeting.
Hmm.
He said, Nilesh, you will have to deploy this solution and prove that this works. That's one. And
Hmm.
second thing is, I get like $1,000, $2,000 per day consulting fees from
Hmm.
McKinsey, because I
Hmm.
am like consulting to state governments and things like that. So
Hmm.
you will have to like fix my fees.
Hmm.
So I had no money that time. I was like just started. I
Yeah.
can't pay, like he was getting like two, three, $4,000 per day in India. It was like huge money.
Yeah.
So I didn't go back to him for 2 months.
Uh-huh.
I first went to field and deployed that solution.
Uh-huh.
After that, I went to him and I said, I did this. This is a proof. These are the people you can call and verify that this solution is deployed.
Mm.
And I don't have the money that I can pay you that much. So he
Mm.
said, what can you pay? So I said, I can pay you like let's say $500 per month. And he
Mhm.
agreed. He
Oh,
agreed.
wow.
He agreed. And then next 20 months, he like literally, coached me. Like he's the guy who actually got me into utilities. He told me all nitty-gritties, how it works, how you build relationship, how you solve the solution, what it takes to be in this industry. So next like 18, 20 months, he was like literally handholding me, coaching me, helping me to get new customers. And we scaled from there, from that one customer, we eventually scaled to 11, 12, 13 different cities to
So, Nilesh,
around 10.
I have to say, I learned something from this whole story because generally, like I'm doing makers right now. I'm an outsider. I'm not a media person, and I am thinking. I mean, obviously, we are growing right now. There'll be a point where we'll become media. I know that. I'm very aware of it, and I basically I think about, because I'm not a media person. I think about what to do, and I think I'm going to take this tip and find that person for me who can help me out. This is a very amazing story. I'm very, like, I am personally motivated by it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in entrepreneurship, one
Yeah,
thing, even surprises me today, that the kind of you stand up, take the ownership of what you want to drive,
yeah,
and don't hesitate to, ask for help.
yeah, yeah,
And you will be surprised, the help you get, the support you get. Someday, I'm just thinking about problem and I talk to a couple of people, and by afternoon or evening I'm like talking to experts, some from somewhere, some place, through some people, these people, these expertise, these help keep coming.
yeah,
And that's the most humbling experience for me in last
yeah,
8 9 years now.
yeah. Yeah, that is the best thing about entrepreneurship. The amount of help that you get and the amount of support that you get from people, right? Look at the way we are talking as well, right?
Yeah.
We have an investor who's a friend of mine, and who's a very good friend of mine actually, and we are here talking to each other, right? And
Yeah.
you emailed me, and I was like, okay, let's do it, yeah, quickly, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. I think that's one of the greatest things about being a part of this community. Just everybody's
Yeah.
out there to help you. Yeah. So I'm going to
Yeah.
take that tip because I have been thinking about how to like figure this whole media thing out for my next step, right? And I'm not able to figure it out. So I love this story. I would say,
Thank you.
yeah. So Nilesh, obviously you spoke about a little bit of challenges, right? So what were the significant challenges that you came about, and how did you kind of overcome that, overcome them? And I mean, and utility, because I worked in hard industries. I'm aware like how difficult it is to break into some of these industries. So
Yeah.
to sustain a company for these many years is almost like, oh my God, how do we do this, right?
Yeah. So so first thing is, see so initially this first customer happened, then we got like few more customers.
Hmm.
So, so I still remember, right after my first customer, I immediately like got two like within a 1 week,
Hmm.
and one was like in Rajasthan and one was in like Maharashtra. And I
Hmm.
was alone. I had no team. I was only IT team.
Yeah,
And the customer pushed me to wall saying that, we just don't need technology. You'll have to do end-to-end things.
yeah.
So that was like first challenge came on like after like couple of
And
months.
doing end to end in this industry is very tough. Okay, it's not that easy because like running a POC itself is a very hard thing. Okay, so doing end to
Yeah.
end is
So
almost impossible.
so they said, don't give us the technology. You deliver the services using technology to us.
Yeah,
And at both the places, same thing happened. And I
yeah,
had like zero experience on operations, like how I'm going to do field operations.
yeah,
So, but then initial days you had that energy, you want to like prove that you are. And before getting into those contracts, I at least knock 20 doors saying that I have this technology and you can use it. Take
yeah,
it, like just pay me a bare minimum. But
yeah.
nobody came forward. Like I literally went to 10, 12 different cities and met people in person. But they
Yeah.
said, we don't want this. We have whatever, we will do it our way. So when that customer said, okay, I saw the opportunity, I said, if I don't do it, nobody is going to like take this. So I
Hmm.
took that challenge, not knowing what it means. And
Mhm.
then I was like literally running between two cities. Like I got my team there, settled them, then come back and another city. And it was like, the finances were like not that much, so I have to like manage by road and railways and things like that. But
Mhm.
we delivered that. And that it was challenging, to set that thing. But again, people help, people gave the contacts. uh, my mentor helped me. And eventually we launched both the cities. It was a big
Mhm.
city, Bikaner city, and then in Maharashtra it was an entire district. And later it has become my strength, because I built the technology and I had the team who was using it.
Mhm.
So the domain knowledge came like, very handy for me. I don't have to like fight with customer and ask them what problems we are facing. So
Mhm.
when eventually our solution has become so much better and so much smooth for the business users, that training them has become like 1 hour job down the line, because we
Mhm.
were working both the side with them. Like we were the one who is building technology and we were the one who is using it and delivering value. And
Mhm.
that solution has delivered like $30 million in a year to that kind of savings to customer.
Yeah.
So this was first challenge. Second challenge I already spoke to. I was an outsider, and
Mhm.
who don't know, how to build the relationship. So
Mhm.
one way, with electricity, my mentor helped me. So that
Mhm.
was another challenge. But
Yeah.
then when we saw the opportunity in gas segment,
Mhm.
uh, then there were like 30, 32 companies, and it was impossible to reach. No contacts, nothing was available. So we
Mhm.
literally printed physical letters, put
Mhm.
it into envelope with our brochures.
Uh-huh.
And there were no names also available. We just said MD of so and so company, and we just posted those later. And to our surprise, six companies called us saying that we are looking for such solution.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that
And
means there
then
were.
we got into like gas companies by that time.
Uh-huh.
Because of this particular thing, we printed like literally 32 letters and sent it to them. And somehow it landed into managing director's desk, and
Mhm.
they eventually called us. So these were the challenges, and we could somehow survive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me, what has been the, I mean, obviously you just spoke about one satisfying moment, but what has been the other satisfying moment of your business so far?
So, so see, impact is something, it's very humbling. So, for example, when we gone into cities in Rajasthan, their losses were like 32%, 38%, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we could bring it down to like 14% eventually, and then 12%.
Mm-hmm.
That means the customer is able to save or generate a 30 million, $40 million extra
Mm-hmm.
in a year. That's on the same consumer base, on same thing. That is the efficiency they could build by deliver through these solutions. So
Mm-hmm.
that is something very satisfying. Then for one of the customer, we could do, they were like taking all the cash and there were no records.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are doing 80-85% digital, so everything is accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that happened, which many people don't know, we could generate 400 blue collars employment out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And why I'm like, it's very satisfying moment for me, because before us, these people were getting paid cash or they were not getting paid. There was no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
But when we came into this picture, we started paying them digitally, and
Agree.
whatever agreed amount was, it was not just paying that person, but there was a whole family behind that person. So
Mm-hmm.
like almost for 7 to 8 years, we could generate this employment and
Mm-hmm.
support these 400 families. That is something very satisfying,
Okay.
personally for me.
Okay. And then, how do you handle like adversity and doubt? Because This journey is not easy on a daily basis. As I'm doing makers as well, I have so many doubts and adversities. I can't even tell you. I mean, there are sometimes guests who cancel. I mean, now we are very fortunate. We've built like a decent brand now. Nobody cancels on us or says no, I can't do this, or something like that. It doesn't happen anymore. But I remember very early days, there were people who used to cancel on me, who used to say, what is this? I mean, actually, recently I got somebody tell me, a good friend of mine tell me that, what are you doing? I don't understand this. And he's a VC. And I said, it's okay if you don't understand, whatever. I don't care, kind of a thing. So, how do you handle, you know, how do you handle adversity and doubt within what you're doing and that's not no.
So, so adversity, see, when I look back, many of the things that happened to me initially felt like it's adversity.
Hmm.
So I will give you example way back in 2001. So I
Hmm.
got like posted in TCS. I landed in Chennai. I landed in Trivandrum. I got my first 2 months, 3 months training, and
Hmm.
then TCS used to post everybody in different cities. And I was
Hmm.
like coming from Maharashtra,
Hmm.
and then all my friends who came from that region got posted in Mumbai, or
Hmm.
mostly Mumbai. So I got posted in Chennai. So
Hmm.
initially felt like it's like big, I'm the only guy who is like going in different direction, how
Yeah.
I'm going to survive and everything. And
Somewhere
it,
very
I'm
hot.
telling
I
you
cannot
the
survive that place either.
first, and I was not out of my home. Like this is the first time I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I traveled first time. That was the longest travel for me from my home
Yeah.
to Trivandrum. From
Yeah.
there, I'm like landing into Chennai and
Yeah.
not knowing anything. Food habits are everything different. You don't have any friends around. You're like alone,
Yeah.
and you have to like also do your job, first job,
Yeah.
and that was like challenging if you think that way, right?
Yeah.
Just
I remember first
but
time
then
when
I
I got out of
landed.
my home to the US. I mean, in fact, that was the first time I was leaving home, and it was. I mean, I cried. I mean, I don't cry usually. I make others cry, I would say, but I mean, like I don't know how to cry as a woman. I don't know, and I cried when I first moved out of my home. So I relate to it.
And then I landed there. I got my training again there on some specific technology.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, one lady, there was another girl like me. Instead of
Yeah.
going to Chennai, she went to Mumbai, but she was from Chennai region. So she
Yeah.
calls me. She said,
Yeah.
Nilesh, I really want to come back.
Yeah.
If you can talk to someone, we can swap something like that. So I
Yeah.
went to the authority who was in Chennai, and I said, this is opportunity. I said I don't have any problem working here, but in case you have opportunity and if you can give me something, I will
Yeah.
be very thankful to you. So this
Mm.
guy, I met him like 10 o'clock. This
Mhm.
guy told me you come by 3 o'clock. So I
Yeah.
went to him at 3 o'clock. He said, I have an opportunity in Seeps, Mumbai, which
Mhm.
is known for overseas customers.
Yeah.
And if you find another four people, I can give you a transfer. So I went to my batch. I found out like four people. Next day morning, 10 o'clock, I landed fire ready. Next
Yeah.
day afternoon, I had my transfer letters in my hand. In TCS, you don't get transfer so easily. And
Yeah.
I landed in Bombay. I got in Merrill Lynch, and
Uh,
like within like 14 months, I was like overseas. And all
yeah.
my friends who went to like Mumbai in first attempt, they
Yeah.
all got into domestic projects, and they have to like work very hard and things like that for next 4 years to get their first on-site opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a stroke of luck. You had lady luck with you, I would say, as well. So,
The utility, when I started a business,
yeah.
so I told you this guy came to me. So
Yeah.
one thing was I said I want to meet customer, but how are you going to pay? And he gave me
Yeah.
checks.
Uh,
He gave me checks, and after a month it all bounced. He
uh,
didn't pay me. So
uh,
I had this, I worked, I put my I also hire up guys. I have to pay them, and
yeah.
now I'm not paid. And how I'm going to do it?
Oh, how
So,
did you
but
do that?
then
That's a very common entrepreneurial problem, by the way.
so I had some small savings, so I paid wherever I made the commitment, and I
Yeah.
told him that I can't do it, but I will have to disclose this to customer that I'm moving out. So
Yeah.
I told him, I told customer, and I moved out, respectfully out of that deal. But later, customer came and said, "You do it." And now today, I am like a, product company in utilities.
Yeah, yeah. I totally hear you. I mean, this happens all the time where, you don't get paid. You basically are waiting. I mean, it's rough. And
Yeah,
people
but then
don't talk
your
about this. Yeah.
yeah, but what is your belief, right? If your
Yeah.
belief is you want to do this, you want to take the accountability,
Yeah.
and you walk the path without, waiting for anybody's approval.
Yeah.
You take that lead and you go in one direction.
Yeah.
My experience, I got a lot of support and help when I said I want to walk this path. It
Mm.
might be hard, it might be, easy, whatever. I never felt, I just kept walking. And
Yeah.
I got a lot of help in the process.
Yeah.
And
So,
once you do that, once you go through that curve, then I think that shapes your belief.
yeah.
Once your belief is shaped, then the adversities doesn't bother you that much.
Yeah.
The doubt might come, but it is only momentarily, and then you eventually know, no, this is the direction. This is my
Yeah.
calling. I'm going to go in this direction, and
Yeah.
then you let go. Your belief is stronger, to let go those adversities, overcome those adversities and those doubts. I think that's my experience with these two things, Akshay.
No, I totally, I don't know. I mean, I cannot agree with you more. Like, I mean, if it's not just entrepreneurship, right? It's just life as well, right? You face adversity. I mean, the fact that we are having this life, that means we are bound to face some adversities, and you cannot be protected from adversities. It can be all kinds of adversities, right? And I feel like the only way to do is keep marching on, right? I mean, if you seclude yourself and protect yourself from all four directions, you're doing a disservice to yourself. That's what I would say. And marching is the only way, and there is no better way to leading your life or leading an entrepreneurial journey. Just heading and being an eternal optimist. Like, I was recently seeing an interview of, I think, Kapil Sharma with Sudha Murthy. And so her husband said, Narayan Murthy, he said that she's an eternal optimist, right? And I think at some point, if you don't become an eternal optimist, it's very, very difficult to go through this journey by yourself and then figure out, like, how can I fix it at that moment, kind of a thing. And that's
Yeah.
my way of like dealing with it, because I feel like, okay, I mean, people question me, people tell me a lot of things, but yeah, whatever, I take it from here and leave it from here, and then I'm an eternal optimist, and I'll be like, okay, let me increment on this, let me increment on that, kind of a situation. And I think that's exactly the right approach, and being like, okay, like, help will come in some form or the other. So
Yeah, it does come, if
yeah.
your intentions are right, you were like committed to it. I think everybody have got help. I
Yeah.
don't think it might come from family, it might come from friends, it mostly come from the society and communities.
Yeah, it
Lot of
mostly comes
things.
from society and communities. Yes, yes, totally agree. There's one person like me who wants to like do something like Maker's Bar and help people out. There is somebody. Obviously, there's always somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So what is your long-term vision for the company? And where do you see yourself, or your? I mean, where do you see the company going from here?
So our we set a vision for ourselves that we want to create a modern digital infrastructure for thousands small and mid-sized utilities.
Mm-mm.
It's a big number, but even if we can do it for thousand, we would say we have done something for everybody, like at least 2,000 utilities. And in
Yeah.
the process, we will also uh, create a value for 10 million households,
Mm-mm.
which is like at least 40 million people.
Mm-mm.
So if we can, through this product, through these services, if we can like ensure that people have the access to water, electricity, gas, and broadband in
Mm-mm.
a right way, they don't have to spend a lot of money. They're getting the right education, how to use these services. We are making it easy for them, we are making it easy for utilities, and in the
Mhm.
process if we are able to conserve these resources, so
Mhm.
that's the vision, and that's the impact we have set for ourselves. That's what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
That's our purpose.
So that's a, I think that's a pretty good purpose. So moving on to, I see that, over throughout the interview, like, you have displayed quite a bit of leadership, right, across your career. Whether it's going and telling someone that I want this particular transfer order, or like, you've displayed leadership at very early on, right, and or be the age of 15 where you said I want to be a business person without knowing what business is, right? That's like a leadership at age of 15, I would say. So tell me, like, what has is your leadership style, and what what is your leadership style, and how do you manage your team or your people, or even as you talked about communities, right? How do you display that leadership in your community?
Yeah, so for me, leading by example, or action speaks louder than words is the, that's the bare minimum. When I look for the leaders, that's what I get inspired by, and
Mhm,
that's what I personally follow. And
mhm,
because if I am not comfortable in what I'm doing, generally I will not feel comfortable in preaching it to anybody else. So,
mhm,
I will lead, I will go there, understand the things. If I don't know, I will take a efforts to understand if it's that important for me.
mhm.
And then once I understand, then I can't keep it to myself for sure. So I
Yeah.
will start sharing with everybody, friends, family, my colleagues, my people who are working with me, everybody. So that's one. Second thing is, as much as I can be transparent with people,
Mhm,
there are hard decisions, you have to take it. I'm
mhm,
not a guy who will, like, always want somebody liking me. So even it's
mhm,
a hard decision, I know that that person is not going to like it, but I will table it. I will share with them. I will
mhm,
tell them my side of the story, that this is the reason I am taking this decision. This is why it needs to be like this,
mhm,
and I will leave up to them whether they want to take it, not take it, they like it, don't like it. But I will not, like, by knowing if somebody may not like it, and I will just hold it to myself. That I am not comfortable with. So I will always give them, this is my reasoning. You may not
okay.
like it. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I think these are the two principles. Then doing things smartly is also, like, very natural. So
Mhm.
my parents used to tell me, study, you will come first in your class, and
Yeah.
all that. I used to tell them that first thing is, I don't want to come in first in class. That doesn't
Makes sense.
motivate me.
Yeah.
Second thing, I know it's a trap. This
Yeah.
year I come first, next year you're going to demand or
Oh, you knew
expect
as
this.
a child that was a trap. I didn't know that. I
Because once you are in that year,
actually
next
so.
year they will put a pressure on you. You need to be there. Last year you were there. I said, I don't want to get into that. So that those
Yeah.
principles still, I generally, I keep telling people, I am not the guy. If you ask me to compete in something, I will not. Mentally I am not prepared for any competition. But if I like, I want to learn table tennis.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of efforts to, go take efforts, and then, compete on that table tennis table, because I want to do it, kind of. I want to play better. I
Yeah.
want to excel at it. So
Mhm.
that's, excelling, like, first thing, I will not do anything. But if I think I want to do this, then it's
Yeah.
not like, do substandard job, like always do, best. At least, you play for winning.
Mm-mm.
Whether you win or you don't win, that's a different story. But I
Yeah.
will always play for winning.
Yeah.
I think this drives me naturally,
But
and I
what
am
if you don't
comfortable.
win when you play for winning?
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay. So
I think that's the best attitude. Yeah, I would definitely say
yeah,
that.
in when I got into engineering, I first got introduced to table tennis.
Yeah.
So it was like, winner to stay. So you
Yeah.
play, and then your seniors will come and say, they want table, and you say you want to play. They will say, no, let's you winner to stay. Then you are losing a game at like 3 points, 4 points. So what you do? So we started. Three of us started going to, the state stadium, and practice with the, like, district team for 2 months, and then again came back next year into the college and started challenging those same set of seniors to play with us, with the winner to stay, and then we started winning. But then I lost in third year. I lost my match for university team, but that's okay.
Mm. Okay. So tell me, this is hopefully our one of the last few questions. What are the most critical skills an entrepreneur needs to have, and what advice would you give would you give someone who's starting entrepreneurship?
So that's a tricky one. So,
Mm-hmm.
see, I now when I reflect back, I think if if entrepreneur needs to choose the story, there are thousand stories to chase, right?
Yeah.
So the entrepreneur needs to choose the right story.
Mm-mm.
When I say right story, think from your temperament point of view. Does it like it? Are you really comfortable in doing that story one?
Mm-mm.
If you want to do a lifestyle business,
Mm-mm.
then even if the story is small, you have a niche market, you do it right, it will just see that it's a 20-30 year story. You can stay in that lifestyle business.
Yeah.
If you want a VC back stories, you want to create, then you need to literally find the large market. Don't do smaller story, because you will you will end up doing a very lifestyle business, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So I made that mistake of choosing the right market in the size of the market. Initial days, I was not aware about it. So when
Mm-hmm.
I look back, when I retrospect, I see that was one
Mm-hmm.
mistake I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. If choose your as per your temperament, your passion, and also if it's a lifestyle business or it's a large business you want to do, where you want to like go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second thing is, so these are like all business things, but there are other things, right? Particularly, I keep telling everybody that don't underestimate family support. As an
Mm-mm.
entrepreneur, if you want to do this, you need a lot of support from your family.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes you naturally get it. So if you are naturally getting it, don't underestimate and don't take it for granted. If you are
Mm-mm.
not getting it naturally, then plan for it,
Mm-mm.
because these are the stakeholders who are going to stand with you in thick and thin, and you are going to need that emotional cushion. Otherwise you can't take this shit
Yeah.
literally. So
Yeah.
that a lot of people, they want to do it as a person, but they will
Mm-hmm.
also have to consider that there are at least few stakeholders from family, maybe
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
better half, or maybe somebody else,
Yeah.
you want to invest with them, because they
Mm-mm.
are going to be with you in this journey for a long time. So I think these are the if entrepreneurs will figure it out most of the things. But I think
Yeah.
on this front, I think that's my suggestion.
I also think that uh, it's very important to get your better half onboarded. And if they are not onboarded, you need to make decisions accordingly, because I feel like it's one of the hardest. Like, my better half has given up on me now. He's like, okay, she's doing something. I just have to accept it and be okay with it, kind of a thing, right? So if they are not onboarded, at least they don't trouble you through the whole journey. And you need to make sure that you have food on the table, right? That's kind of very important to your wife, to your, I mean, to your spouse, I mean, husband, and to your kids, right? You need to have food on the table. So I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
because
So
because I can
yeah,
see they pay the price for you not being around. You are like constantly
yeah,
juggling your priorities. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, they pay price for that. And
yeah,
if you don't consider them, you don't take them into confidence, it's
yeah.
it's going to be a lot of
There's gonna be a lot of
trouble.
friction. It's going to be a lot of
Yes.
it. Yeah. So tell me, you said something. I promise this is the last question. You said something along the lines of where you had chosen a small TAM, right? A business, and then you kind of figured, oh, this is a bigger TAM business, right? Now, TAMs are, see, it's so funny. We are speaking about this. Like, I see so many decks, and people say, oh, I have this big of a TAM, kind of a thing. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but I really don't know if there's really that kind of TAM, right? Because I've done some journeys myself, so I've looked at like multiple companies, I've worked in corporate, I've done my entrepreneurship journey, everything, yeah, at this point. So I know what is a big TAM and what is not. So how did you kind of figure that out, that okay, this is not the only TAM, this is bigger than this kind of a thing?
So honestly, Akshana, I am also trying to figure out this entire TAM definition and how
Yeah,
it
yeah.
practically
Total
works.
addressable market, as you might say.
But see, when I said, let's say if you take initially, right?
Yeah,
When I started, if I say my TAM is all electric, gas, water companies in India, I can serve, and
yeah.
there are like 100 million consumers is my TAM.
Hmm.
I'm like, if somebody's saying that,
Yeah,
then nowadays I will say, that person hasn't understood what the TAM is. It's not about,
yeah,
how much is there.
I
It's
agree.
not about how much is there. It's about how much you can serve,
Yeah, I think,
how much capability you have got
yeah,
that as a company, as a product, as a service, you can address.
yeah,
Forget
yeah,
about, how much is there. And
yeah.
then if
Profitable
there is a,
addressable market. There's a word for that also, Sam.
yeah, and then there might be like 100 units, but
Yeah,
on day one you need to start from somewhere, right? So where do you put that your finger out of these 100 places or 100
yeah,
opportunities or 1,000 opportunities? These are
yeah,
the two, these are the three, these are the four, these are the tens, 20s I
yeah,
am going to start with.
yeah.
And that will define your focus, that will channelize your energy, resources, capital resources, everything.
Mm,
And I am not saying I like figured out the entire science and maths or chemistry to it. I am also learning on my own way, but it's becoming clear and clear that it's not that how much is there you can serve, but it's your ability, your positioning, your organization capability, how much you can do, and who
mm,
will fit into that bill. I think making this when on the journey, people surprise you. Like we haven't started with we haven't when I in first thing when I started, I was not knowing that there is a gas also as a subsegment who can benefit from this.
mm,
I was also when I am now doing it as a product, I was not aware that there is a submetering company. They came our way now. Now we realize, there is another segment who can benefit from this. So you will have to do these adjustments also down the line. You might start with your one theory, one thesis, and then
mm,
market will surprise you. This happens all the time. So you need to
mm,
take those signals back into your TAM, recalculate the move on the fly, and say, my TAM, you need to acknowledge that your TAM and SOM is changing, and
mm.
where, because once you put it there, the market starts adjusting you and you need to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Sometimes you can build I mean, very few people are able to build like a massive TAM. I think in history we can say, like, and those have created like massive industries in itself, right? Like Apple, for instance, he built his own TAM, right? Sometimes people are able to, as you said, navigate and expand it as well, which is kind of very few people in history are able to do that, right? And they kind of know what is a product that the customer wants and they're able to give that. And I clearly don't have that ability in many ways. And yeah, so, and sometimes you just
But
randomly
if you
like,
just to add
yeah,
to that, if you take any top 10 companies in any field and you
yeah,
ask, go back and see, what was their TAM on, first 3 years and what is their TAM today, you will
today,
see a significant change. Take example of Apple,
yeah,
they
yeah,
started like
Apple.
personal computer. The TAM was like very small. I don't think they would have thought that one day their TAM will be all mobile phones, or
Actually,
one day their
yes,
TAM.
yes, that I agree. But I think when they started personal computers, right? Because I've seen some of Jobs is one of my favorite entrepreneurs. I mean, I like there was a speech of him which he gave around the time when I graduated at Stanford, and I thought like how lucky were these Stanford graduates to get that speech, and like I've gone back and looked at all his interviews, and because he has so many nuggets of advice that he gives through his interviews. And very early interviews, he was very clear that the every household will have a personal computer. He was very, very clear about it. He probably didn't get to, I mean, obviously, computing changed, and then it was probably clear to him when he saw mobile immediately, right? This mobile devices are going to become something, right? But when he first started, he was very clear. I mean, if you look at it, right, he wanted a computational device which every person has access to. His mission has been the same. Nothing has changed over the years, right? And he started with personal computers, and he said, I remember seeing some of his early interviews. He said, and he sounded like a cuckoo when he said that, when all these reporters were interviewing him. And he said, one day every household will have a computer. And I mean, now it's like obvious, but imagine the journalists who were interviewing him then, and then he said something like this, right? So it's it's insane. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I think it evolves. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying. If your purpose, you stay on the purpose, your SAM and SOM and TAM will evolve,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
will
yeah,
see bigger market opportunities down the line.
yeah,
I think that's what my learning is. I still
yeah.
not figured out fully.
Yeah, yeah. So we will get there. We all get there in some way or the other. Even I'm figuring out my tam and som right now. I would say. So it was really nice talking to you as usual, and I enjoy learning from you, and it was really great conversations. And I really wish the very best with everything that you're doing with Binary, and I hope. You're able to service every utility company in this world in some form or the other. So yeah, and that is the time that you reach.
Thank you, Akshara. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. Thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to share the story. Really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, thank
Best
you,
of
thank you
luck to
so much.
you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.